The meeting. Meeting is now streaming live on YouTube.
Okay,
So it says.
so it says.
Yes. Meeting. All right. Meeting is now streaming live on YouTube.
Okay.
So can you hear that?
Yeah, it says.
Yes. Okay. So I'm not sure how to. Meeting is now streaming live on
Mute
YouTube.
that.
So can you hear that?
Yeah, it says.
Yes. Okay. So I have feedback. So
Yeah, me
I'm
too.
not sure how to. Let me see. All right, how are we doing now? Better?
Yeah, I think that cut it.
Okay.
Yay!
Yay! Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Y'all, we are trying YouTube Live for the first time.
Woo!
So thank you for being here with us. It's your girl, Nicole Oshia. We're here with Ashley, Mwanga, Summer Songfire, Gordon.
Hello, hello.
Yes, we're trying something new here.
Yeah.
We're trying something new. We were on doing some Instagram lives, getting prepared, getting the energy, revving up the energy for Unapologetically Vibrant, a free 10-day womb awakening experience. And this is a soul stirred experience where we really get to reconnect to the womb, we connect to the body so that you can create your own path to power. And what we mean by creating your own path to power is that to be empowered with the resources to go deep in the conversations, to go deep in the soul work and the rituals and the knowledge to really embody the gem, the wisdoms, and your fullness from the roots. And Ashley is here with us. She is going to be joining us during Unapologetically Vibrant, and she's going to be on the day where we talk about expression and freedom. And we actually met through. We cross paths on in many local events here. We are coming to you live from the west part of Canada, and yeah, after crossing paths for so long, we got to talking about the different things that we were noticing as people of color in wellness spaces and just all the things. And um, we are here. She is an amazing energy practitioner of Reiki, and working with energy, and also a space holder for ceremonies, and also a beautiful village, tender village mama to all the young ones that come into her space. So welcome, Ashley.
Yay! Thank you, thank you, thank you. I'm
Mhm.
honored to be here.
Absolutely. We're actually going to be collaborating as well to bring out gatherings for in rooted in Afrocentric practices called Comedic Queens, and
Mhm.
we've just started that. So we've got a lot to talk about
We do.
in a very short amount of time. Which these 30 minutes, we just scratch the surface. Really, we want to give you all a taste of what's to come for Unapologetically Vibrant. So you can go over and head on to the website if you like. On the show notes, I'll have the link so you can register. It is free, and we're gonna do 10 days of goodness. And so, as I mentioned, Ashley's gonna be on the day when we talk about expression
Mm,
and that freedom of expression.
yeah.
I mean, one of the energies that is governed by our wombs is creation, is creativity, and then also having like really freeing up the freedom, freeing up the body, freeing up the voice, freeing up that space so we can then channel and bring out that creativity and expressing that.
Mm.
where does that live within you? Like, how vital and essential is that? And what does that mean to you?
Well, what is hilarious is I'll never forget when we first met at a women's retreat and you were kind of channeling messages for each woman and you stopped at me. You're like, "Ooh, girl, you need to let it all go." Like you just like saw through my soul and you're just like, yeah, you're holding on to too much. And like at the time, I mean, the woman that I was then and the woman that I am now is completely different.
Mm,
And I really felt that within myself of how, yeah, I was still shrinking and still concerned of just like like I knew that within myself there was these big things that wanted to be expressed, and obviously there's like just fears and wounds that come up of you're just like I can't go there, right? And so yeah, that was one of maybe my first toe dips in like a women's retreat, and then since then I've just seen so many beautiful examples of women being like, no, we're here. This is the time to really start digging deep and embodying what it means to reclaim our power and our vibrancy, and to really speak life into the things that for so long were taken away from us and were, hidden away and just scrutinized and demonized. And so since that lovely day that I met you and you stared into my soul, I've I've come to this place where I'm just like, yeah, I am absolutely willing to show up as a woman who says yes to living in that power and that vibrancy, all the while knowing that like, yeah, there's it ebbs and flows, there's ups and downs, it's, but what we're really anchoring into here is like our knowing, our rooted knowing that like, yeah, this is it, this is what we get to do. It's really beautiful.
hmm Yeah, I love that. Um, and I think, yeah, for me, this has been growing up, and rooting in and real always knowing that my expression always came from movement. It came from the arts. It
Mm,
came from movement. It came from drawing. It came from painting, from dancing, from poetry, all those things.
mm,
Not really understanding that the roots, like the inspirational portal for all of this is listening to the body, is listening to the roots of the body, to express it, to express the voice. And all of these things are connected.
mm,
And um, I got this really quite later, um, probably when I had to go through womb challenges before
mm,
actually realized that, or gotten a deeper awareness of, oh, all the things, all these resources, that there was a deeper, there was something deeper that was happening
mm.
that I didn't realize. My first ecstatic dance experience. Now, if you take a dancer to an ecstatic dance experience, you're going to get other two things. One, you'll be like, you want to move, but it's a choreographic move. It's like it's letting the body like really let loose
Mm.
and be free is
Yeah,
a little bit harder.
yeah,
Um, or you get somebody that's just like, woohoo, I'm in my element, let's go.
yeah.
But the first time I did it, I was not in my element. I was like, why am I here? What am I doing? I don't think this is for me. And I had to kind of get over myself a little bit, and just trust the process. I think it
Mm,
was a five rhythms um, journey.
yep.
And at some point I just let myself go. I just
Yeah.
let myself go. I just completely was immersed in the process. And I think it was a section where it was just like everybody was going super fast and I heard rah, rah, and I was like, oh, okay. Rah, we're back.
Yeah.
And she's like, let it out, let it go, scream if you want to scream, do it, do it. And I was like,
Mm,
okay,
yeah.
and I was like, I was thinking in the back of my think, gosh, I don't know anybody here that can witness me. I liked anonymity at that time.
Yeah.
Um, but I found myself just really just I got lost in all of it and I just went for it. And when we were done, I was like, what the hell did I just experience? What
Yeah.
was that? What
Portal.
is like the whole body was vibrating.
Yeah.
I was like, what did we just do?
Yeah.
And I think that was one of the first times that I looked at dance and I looked at that expression differently as a healing resource.
Mm,
And I mean, culturally, we've been doing it all the time.
yep.
We've been doing it all the time, and many systems have tried to suppress
Hmm.
this healing tool that we all have
Mm,
and kind of perverted it in a way that say, oh, that's bad.
yeah. Which is wild because like movement, we need to move all the time. This is a natural part of what we do, and then to really bring presence to it, to allow it to, help us move energy and stuff. Like absolutely ecstatic dance. Same experience when I first went to when I went to the first one I ever went to. I was just like, okay, this is odd, and it's just it really shows you like how restricted we are in our movement and how we think that like, okay, I'm going to do what is the norm, but like the second you're asked to be big and loud, just like it's like, oh, that's not what we do. But like we have been doing that. That was very much a part of the knowledge systems of like, yeah, that's medicine. That's really allowing us to drop into the body and be present, which a lot of society doesn't do. So dropping into those spaces, you're like, what is this crazy place? And like, yeah, you might be really happy not to know anyone when you go to these spaces.
And I think even in if we look at traditionally or culturally, this being able to be in healing spaces where there's singing, not was, is, it's still
Mm,
happening.
mhm,
There's singing, there's dancing, there's chanting, there's, you know, depending on where we are in the world, there's drums or horns or
mm,
violins, string instruments, whatever it is,
mhm,
um, that really bring a space of healing. Even like with the drums, the drums, like any indigenous culture, will use the drum um, to to really invoke what is there in the body.
mm,
And that was in many places that what they tried to strip that away.
mhm,
They tried to strip, and it's like the drum is like the heartbeat of the body.
mhm,
It's our heartbeat, but our wombs, everything in the body resonates. It comes alive
mhm,
with the drum.
mhm.
What we had a chat about the effects of s- the suppression
Mm.
of the expression. What do you think is the most important message that we need to talk about and open up about this?
Yeah, I think we need to have some really uncomfortable conversations, especially around colonization and how these systems actively looked to suppress and destroy certain cultural and spiritual practices. That was like the lifeblood of so many people. And I think it's really beautiful that we get to be in these spaces and we do these, healing rituals and stuff. And sometimes I find that maybe we're not in touch with the fact that, like, just how deeply sacred this is. And just how, we need to be totally present to the fact that when we're entering these spaces and realms and portals together, like, it's not just about us and showing up and kumbaya. It's so cute. It's like we're doing big work here. And there's, thousands of ancestors behind us who probably deeply also need these spaces. And so for me personally, like when I'm showing up into these things, um, it absolutely gets to be fun and lighthearted, but I also hold high reverence for how, this is the way it began. And then, my ancestry, unfortunately, all of that was stripped away and demonized, and, it was suppressed, as we're saying. And now we get this beautiful opportunity to bring it back online, and just really having respect and reverence for those who, I mean, had to keep it underground, right? It's still alive today. So obviously someone was just like, gang, gang, we still gonna do it. But, people got caught for doing what, I mean, I think so much of this too is like our connection to the creator. Like, this is medicine, and it's also deeply giving us this connection to something much bigger than us. So yeah, I think being willing to kind of take that hard look at, like, okay, so why are we in these spaces again? What does this all mean? And how do we best show up to honor um, not only ourselves, but those who come before us and those who are going to come after us. So it's not always just kumbaya, let's like have some cacao. It's also just, let's really pause for a moment and understand how um, yeah, blessed we are and how grateful we get to be to show up to these spaces.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And this is, this is, this, you know what, it reminded me of, I saw a social media post, and it said something about, let's teach our children about altars and so they don't grow up to demonize their own culture.
Mm,
And I found that really powerful as I dive deeper more and more into um, the roots of spirituality from different places.
mhm,
Specifically, I've always wanted to know about my own culture.
mhm,
My roots are from the Caribbean,
mhm,
and that's as far as the family knows.
mhm,
And um, how it's connected to the continent of Africa, it's still unknown. But I was always curious, like I was learning about, you know, Greek spirituality, Asian spirituality, even
mhm,
we live in Canada, so,
mhm.
Like indigenous roots here, and European and all Christianity and all the like Muslim, all the things, right?
Everybody.
And always had a question, well, what about the spirituality in the Caribbean?
Mm,
It went from like learning the roots of traditional movement,
mm,
and how did it become contemporary, how did it evolve to become all these other things.
mm,
And then once I got into like the traditional movement, it went deeper into, oh, this is not like, oh, traditional movement comes from ceremony.
mhm,
It comes from spirituality.
mhm,
And then going deeper and learning, oh, finding out that the spirituality from the continent of Africa was horribly and uh, just dehumanized in such of a way that it's rejected by its own people.
Mm-hmm. Mm.
And I'm like, man, colonialism did a number where one's people rejects their own culture and elements of their own culture in such a way
Mm.
by systematically just like ripping it apart.
Mm-hmm.
And we're now in this space where we're like, oh no, like we're reclaiming
Mm.
the roots of yoga. We're reclaiming the connection to the earth.
Mm.
We're reclaiming the stuff, the practices, or and fusing them with our contemporary practices,
Mm-hmm.
with the health of our body, herbalism, um, all these things,
Mm-hmm.
like even food. I saw some program that said some online program saying decolonizing our food. I said, what? How do you decolonize
That's food too.
the food? And then reading a little further, it was like, where do we go to eat?
Mm.
What kind of food do we buy? And it is regional. It's
Mm-hmm.
regional of where you are. But the food, like if we're from different spaces,
Mm-hmm.
it's like, okay, what are the foods that our grandmothers or our grandfathers, great grandma, and all that,
Yeah.
like for and I was lucky enough for my parents, we had the West Indian food all the
Mm-hmm.
time. We had the mangoes and when we go and travel, sugar apples or hibiscus tea or, all these
Mm-hmm.
things, plantain and all of that. So that wasn't new.
Yeah.
But you go outside of the home, it's different. And I think that's what coming back to how we honor those, how we honor ourselves culturally in that expression
Mm-hmm.
and the freedom, but also the inclusion of the respect.
Mm. I was actually I was sitting with that today, and it's the reality of living in the Western society is like K through 12, I didn't have one teacher of color. I had no examples in my life. Well, I mean, not no examples, sorry. The place I'm going to the most, right, Monday to Friday from 8 a.m. to 3 p.m. or whatever time I was going, I didn't have anyone that looked like me. I didn't have anyone to reference, the contributions that my people made to this planet. So you go your whole life up until adulthood when you do start to feel like, okay, there's something missing. Why am I not being shown anything here? It really is quite bewildering how, like, yeah, you'll know about every other culture and how they practice certain things, and then there was, like, literally, I'm trying to rack my brain, there was nothing about you know Africa and its contributions to the world. And, like, I remember being in university, and there was a display, and it said Africa is not a country, because, like, that's how much we don't know as a general population. Is
Mhm.
like, people are like, oh, there's multiple countries going on in Africa. Like, it was completely wiped away. And so you can imagine, like, what that does to your psyche, to think that, okay, I descend from people who have done nothing, and our history starts with slavery, lies, right? Like, that's all they gave us was, oh, I'm so sorry, your people were just actually just enslaved, and that's the where you start, and then now you guys are here, and you're in contemporary America, where
Mhm.
um, when you have to sit with that, it's just like, no, there's a lot missing there. There's no way that our people have done absolutely nothing. And being in university, I learned that Africa is the most resource dense continent on the planet, right? So it make you start, like, connecting the dots of, like, it's like, and I've said this before, it's just like, we can talk about the witch hunts and stuff, but I really truly believe, like, Africa was the first and ultimate witch hunt of going into people's homes and completely, um, yeah, erasing their cultural practices, demonizing how they connect with the earth and each other and their bodies. Um, so it's this really sad realization of just like, yeah, the damage that was done intentionally. Um, but then also, being unapologetically vibrant gives us this opportunity to be like, I'm going to actually come back to my roots. I'm going to come back to the ways in which, I can practice these things and keep them alive. Um, and I think it's funny when you said like the food part, for example, so many foods that people would never even hear of, and I've seen on like on Instagram, like eat ancestrally, eat locally. Like, well, those things don't work for me because my people are not eating potatoes and stuff, you know what I mean? Like, those things are not as available. So whose ancestors are we talking about when you say you should try and eat ancestrally? um, what is the availability of that
Mhm.
in the region you're in? So not saying it's impossible. Obviously, there's ways to connect with those foods and stuff, but there's a little bit more consideration that has to go into to doing such things.
Yeah, absolutely. And
Yeah.
as you can tell, we can go in. Like when we talk about expression and the freedom of expression, it can it can get very deep and
Mm,
not just about like I'm using my voice or woohoo or being in the if, the expression of an artist. It goes deep culturally, it goes deep within the body, it goes deep within healing, it goes deep within advocacy, and it can be flipped on its head and not used for good.
mm,
um, and so, the intentionality of that is really crucial. For a good while, I didn't like to use the word freedom
mm.
because it was very much linked to a movement that was happening in Canada that I really did not get down with.
Yeah.
And and it was like, okay, so what does that actually mean, and who is it for?
Hmm.
What is the intention of that? And so let's be very clear, everybody, when we're talking about expression and we're talking about freedom here, and freedom of the body, freedom of being able to create from a wholehearted and centered place. We're coming through the lens of love. We're coming through the lens of community. We're coming through the lens of unity and service to humanity. We're not coming from a place of hierarchy. We're not coming from a place of corruption, and we're
Mm,
not coming from a place um, of uh, of uh, me versus them type
hmm,
of power.
hmm.
We're coming from a place of community, of really what it is to create this utopia here on earth. And the roots of the womb, we come from the womb. We come from the womb, each and every one of us. And so we are birthed through this canal of creation. And when the womb of the mother, the womb of the earth, and or the root of anything is not uh, healthy and vital and strong,
Mm,
everything else from that does not grow and flourish.
mm.
And so this is what we stand for, and this is where we're coming from. And I'm so happy, Ashley, that we're going to be diving more into this.
Yeah.
Friends, you do not want to miss next week. We're going to start on Monday. We're starting on Monday, and we go for 10 days, Monday to Friday, for 2 weeks in a row. Um, you can go to www.thegoddessmoves.space/vibrant to register. It is free. You, excuse me, you get a free gift as well, and join the global community. Join the global community,
Yeah.
and you can find Ashley on Instagram, Summer Songfire.
Mhm.
You can find her on her brand new spanking website.
Woo!
What's the website name again?
Summersongfire.ca.
Beautiful. You can
Yeah,
find all her beautiful offerings there. And like I said, she's going to be back with us for Unapologetically Vibrant. So Ashley, thank you so much
thank
for
you.
being here. Thank you, everyone. Um, we will see you in the interwebs. We'll see you next week inside of Unapologetically Vibrant.
That's